Hello and welcome to the 15th annual Sophia Institute Luncheon, our no-show luncheon. I love it. I love that we have people from all over the country actually joining us in. We're coming to you right here from Charleston, the beautiful Charleston, South Carolina. In today's environment of social distancing, we've had to pivot to be able to be together virtually. So in support of one another and in support of this wonderful institute. So I see you have your own luncheon tables set. So in your own homes, if you're able to, if you're coming to us from your actual living room or dining room, and you're doing this from a laptop, if you could take your phone, your cell phone, and take a picture. Take a picture of your table, take a picture of yourself, take a picture of the screen with all the other lovely participants. That would be great. And when you do, just post it on Facebook, use the hashtag the Sophia Institute, and share the love, share that you're participating in this way today and that we're all together in this special way. I want to be able to kick us off today with a very special performance from our very own Charleston Symphony Quartet. And thank you for Ellen Dressler Morrill for arranging that to happen. Thank you. I would like to now, it's my pleasure to turn the program over to the founder and director of the Sophia Institute, our fearless leader, Carolyn Rivers.
Thank you so much, Sandy. And let me thank you now for joining us from your homes and coming to our homes. For our faculty who'll be with us today, Lynn Twist and Marianne Williamson and Jean Houston and Ellen Burston, all of whom I've been working with over the last couple of weeks to bring something very, very special for today's program. So we'll be celebrating together, you, our Sophia community and special friends, to address these unprecedented times and our need to pivot our work, to pivot our lives, to pivot our way of living and being on the earth right now. I'm deeply moved by your resilience, your steadfastness, your wisdom, your choice to be socially distant and to be spiritually connected. It's so important to us at Sophia Institute. Here we've been saying for a long time that we are in a time of profound transformation, a time of breakdown, potentially for breakthrough of a new consciousness, one that carries the feminine and joins it with the masculine, and out of that union, a consciousness that is more compassionate and just, more loving and wise, one that activates the gifts and capacities in us and unites us in our shared humanity, one that's transformed from power over to power with, from domination to collaboration and partnership, for a more environmentally sustainable, socially just, and spiritually fulfilling world for all people. We believe at Sophia Institute, it is the expansion of our consciousness and our willingness to hold this that can help bring about the changes that are needed now. Living as we have in a patriarchal society that attempts to control every aspect of life and have power over it for millennia now, and that's changing, including domination over the earth. This spiritual consciousness honors the web of life, the unity within our diversity, the sacredness in each of our lives, and Mother Earth herself. I think of it as a divine consciousness of the feminine that awakens the wisdom of the heart in women and in men, allowing grace to enter our lives, allowing us to find a new way of living and being on the earth that honors our unity and our distinction and allows us to tap into what is true. This is the work of Sophia Institute, and it is also our vision for the 21st century. For our time, a century we call the Sophia century. Now, I'm going to invite Lynn Twist in. Her work is so close to our work, and we have been working with her since 2005. We are so respectful of what she does through the Soul of Money and as co-founder of Pachamama Alliance, and we are treasured that she's on our National Advisory Board and faculty. Lynn Twist.
Hi, I'm here in my living room in San Francisco, California, and so delighted to be able to join you today for the annual luncheon event at the Sophia Institute, only virtually on your screen. And I want to thank Carolyn and everyone who put this together so that we could be part of it, those of us who are sheltering at home, which is pretty much everybody, and to look deeply now at how to come out of this period, this pandemic, this pause, this reset, this opportunity to relook, to rethink, to renew, to respect, to remember who we are, and to regenerate life in a way that's more environmentally sustainable, more spiritually fulfilling, and more socially just. And that's the work of the Sophia Institute, and it's also my work and the work of probably everybody who's watching this. And I want to tell you that the prophecies of Indigenous people have prophesied this time. And they have said to us, those of us who work with them in the Amazon rainforest through Pachamama Alliance, that this virus is an ally. It's not a punishment. It's an ally. And it's here to help us do what we could not do on our own, and that is stop and look and think and reconsider the way we're living. And that reconsideration, that renewal, that rethinking also allows us to have the Sophia century begin to truly express itself. That's what I call the 21st century. And there is a beautiful prophecy about this century from the Cherokee people. And they say that the bird of humanity has two great wings, a male wing and a female wing. And for centuries, the male wing has been fully extended, fully expressed, and the female wing has been truncated, not yet fully expressed, sort of half expressed. While the male wing, in order to keep the bird of humanity afloat, has become overdeveloped, overmuscular, and violent, and the bird of humanity has been flying in circles for hundreds and hundreds of years. The prophecy says that in the 21st century, the female wing of the bird of humanity will fully express itself in all of us. The male wing will then relax, and the bird of humanity will soar. This is the work of the Sophia Institute, and for that I am deeply grateful. Thank you for being at the luncheon. Thank you for being part of this event, and thank you for being on this planet at this very, very special time.
Beautiful, Lynn. Thank you so much for sharing this with us. Don't we love and admire Lynn Twist and all she does to make the world a better place? Who could have imagined that a pandemic could be the vehicle for transformative change? We're in the great pause, and I also think of it that we're being graced. We are re-examining and reimagining how we want to be in our human family now. There are the large questions we're holding in this liminal time. When the challenge of sheltering in place and social distancing began, it hit me hard. I'm sure it hit you hard too. And it was challenging that we could no longer offer our in-person events that we had planned for you in March and April and May, and for a bit, we weren't sure what to do about that. And I felt grief and distress. I'm sure you did too, and maybe still do. We needed to understand what to do next. So we do what we do at Sophia Institute. I went inside, I prayed and meditated and listened with my heart to the guidance that I knew would be there. And asking the question, if not this way we've done things, what new way should we do this work, our work, now? The answer came rather quickly. It was to pivot. Pivot is the word I hang my hat on now. It's my new favorite word. It may well be yours. You're going to hear it a lot today because we are in the space of understanding the dance of pivot. And I remember David White, when he is with us, saying, just turn into the light. So that's what I mean by pivot, turning a new direction, turning into the light that moves us along to the next course in the work we are to do. So if the old way was not working, what's the new way? And that was obviously, as you can see today, to go virtual. So once we committed to the pivot, we began to move into focus and flow. That's a feminine process. And all manner of things evolved quickly. My colleague Ann Brasco met me there. Our board of directors, wonderful people too, met us there as well. When in days we were designing webinars and offering them as tuition-free events because we wanted to be of service to you, to our Sophia community and the new Sophia friends who were joining us from all over. So we replanned also all these spring events that we had for you and said, let's do virtual retreats. And our faculty said, really, do you think we can do this? And I said, yes, I think we can do it very effectively. I feel so guided that this is the way for us. So they said yes. And if you joined us last weekend for Joan Borisenko on the Mystic Heart and on flow states, you'll know how effective that work was and how relevant for our time. One of the understandings I so appreciate is how the resonant field works. That's what I'm talking about now, and how collaboration and trust go hand in hand. Many people signed up almost immediately from all over the Charleston area, but from all around the country too, as you've done today. People sheltering in place in their homes were exuberant for the opportunity to learn together and to be in spiritual community with like-minded others, to make meaning of this liminal space, of this pause time, of this grace period we're all in now, and find that heart-centered love and wisdom can be felt through the virtual realm too. I hope you're feeling that right now. By doing so, you are agreeing to your own personal pivot to find within yourself new understandings, a heart-centered wisdom for these times, and expanding consciousness. As Mark Nepo says in one of our recent webinars with him, when you can't go out, go in. I love that. And by the way, Mark will be with us in 2 days, just this very weekend, and presenting his new work, the Book of Soul, 52 Paths to Living What Matters. I keep saying to Mark, I can't imagine a better topic for these days. So we'd love to have you join us for this too. At Sophia Institute, going in is what we do. We often refer to it as our inside-out approach, this going in for guidance, to ponder the questions we hold, opening our hearts and finding the innate wisdom there, choosing to go to the next edge of the light we see, to move our calls further, and to go out into our relationships, our communities, our workplace with what we're called to next. We understand, of course, that we can't do it all, but we can do the very thing that is ours to do, that which we are called to, that can make such a difference in the world. Let's bring in our beloved friend, Marianne Williamson, author of extraordinary books that you know and love. She speaks to this.
Hi, I'm Marianne Williamson, and like millions of other people, I've been thinking as deeply as I can about the meaning of the crisis that we're all experiencing now. It seems to me that there are two parallel phenomena. On one hand, externally, politically, socially, economically, we're in a period of devastating deconstruction, a dismantling of some of the institutions that we so need in order to support us as a species. But there is another level where that simultaneous phenomena is occurring. It's non-material, it's psychological, it's emotional, it's moral, it's spiritual. And there, within us, it seems to me that there is a potential breakthrough of great import. It doesn't seem to me like a period of deconstruction so much as a period of reconstruction. Because on that non-material level, within our hearts and deep in our minds, perhaps we are finding some wisdom that we needed to find. This situation has rocked us to the core, but it seems that in some ways we needed to be rocked to the core. The old normal, the path that brought us here, was not exactly perfect, and we knew that. And we avoided looking at that as deeply as we might have. You know, we're an adrenaline-driven society. Americans always running around. But sometimes that running around, if we look at it seriously, is a way of avoiding some of the deeper thinking that we need to be doing. And so, who among us, I know this is true for me and everyone else I know, has not been having some deep conversations over the last few weeks, a deeper conversation with the God of our understanding, a deeper understanding, a deeper conversation with ourselves, and deeper conversations with the people that we love. And out of that depth, there will come wisdom. And out of that wisdom will come inspired action. There will come devotion, a greater devotion to what it means to be alive, a greater devotion to the idea, to the ideal of the creation of a just society, a deeper level of devotion to our responsibility to the earth, to each other, and to animals. That is what is important now. What's important now is that we become the imaginal selves for the other world that's possible on the other side of this. just as a caterpillar falls apart into this, what's called an imaginal soup, and imaginal cells give birth ultimately to the wings of a butterfly. So each and every one of us, I think, should think of ourselves as imaginal cells of a new world. What is the environment that we want on the other side of this? We have seen what a blue sky looks like again. We've seen what clean water looks like again, things that we had almost stopped even imagining would be possible in our lifetime. What would it be like to imagine a world without war? What would it be like to imagine a world, a civilization that truly reflects the best of who we are? That's what we can do with our time right now. Not only address the deconstruction in ways that any mature adult needs to do, but also address the reconstruction and our participation in it. The changes that are going on inside all of us that will make us more deeply committed people, better citizens, more loving, and more dedicated to the things that matter most.
Thank you, Marianne. Don't you love what she's saying? Being more dedicated to the things that matter most. Thought leader, spiritual leader, wise and wonderful soul sister friend. We so love and admire and appreciate Marianne Williamson's contributions. So in this time of great pause, of gracing, we realize the opportunities before us too. Consider what visionary author whom Lynn Twist introduced me to, Charles Eisenstein, who's our neighbor practically, living in the Asheville, North Carolina area, says, I love this, COVID-19 is showing us that when humanity is united in common cause, phenomenally rapid change is possible. None of the world's problems are technically difficult to solve. They originate in human disagreement, in the state of coherency. Humanity's creative powers are boundless. A few months ago, a proposal to halt commercial air travel would have seemed preposterous. Are the radical changes we're making in our social behavior, in our economy, and the role of government in our lives? COVID demonstrates the power of our collective will when we agree on what is important. What else might we achieve in coherency? What do we want to achieve, and what shall we create? Let's now hear from Academy Award-winning actress and author of Lessons in Becoming Myself, Ellen Burstyn.
I've been reading Thomas Berry a lot. I like him. As you know, probably, he was a Catholic priest, a Jesuit, who went to China, learned Chinese, and studied Asian religions, Buddhism, Taoism, etc., and came back to the Catholic Church and introduced, at that time, because this was in the 40s really, introduced them to what was going on in these other religions, and he became a very well-respected and modest comes to mind, but that's not all he was. He was a brilliant scholar. And over the years, he developed this understanding that the religions at a certain point separated the divinity from the earth and put God up in heaven. And that separation was the beginning of what we're experiencing now with the horrendous exploitation of the gifts of the earth and the trouble that it's causing. And he felt that we needed to re-sacralize the earth, to go back to looking at the rivers and the mountains and the trees and the fish and the animals as all part of the divine creation, and to consider the earth sacred. It's our home. Well, I feel right now his work is even more important than it was earlier. because we're at a desperate point now, where if we don't stop what we're doing, we're going to destroy the earth. It'll survive us, but I don't think we'll survive it, what we're doing to it. So at a certain point, he stopped calling himself a theologian and called himself a geologian. I love that. He said, when we make a whole species extinct, we silence the voice of God. And that we must reunite spirit and the earth. So that's what I am seeing happen now, that we're stopping. That the earth decided that she had to take it in her own hands, Gaia, and sent out her armies of viruses to bring us to a stop. And I feel now that everybody I'm talking to feels stopped. And what do we do when we don't do all those things that we were so caught up in? People are meditating more. People are walking in nature more. And people are considering their diet in a new way. Oh, we're not going to have meat? Is that a possibility? I've been thinking about being a vegetarian. Perhaps I should try that now. So, yes, it's horrendous. Yes, it's awful for this many people to die. But we can look at it another way too. That there's some function, there's some purpose to this. And we should go down deep and find out what it means to us to stop.
Thank you so much, Ellen. As I was talking with her last week about what she wanted to speak about, we had such a conversation about Thomas Berry. He's been a great companion. She says she's reading everything for her as she is no longer in Manhattan and sheltering in place in a safe location elsewhere. So thank you, Jean. Thank you, Ellen. And soon we'll be hearing from Jean Houston. But before we get there, I want to tell you about another aspect of Sophia Institute's work. What we have been discussing is our core work and the extraordinary, talented, and wise faculty we have coming to us. If you're new to Sophia Institute, you can see all 100 plus of them noted on our website. But we're doing other work too, and it's work we're deeply called to as well. So I'm going to tell you about two initiatives. The first one is Social Justice Racial Equity Collaborative, which was born out of the horrific massacre at Mother Emanuel Church that happened 4 years ago, a little over 4 years now. And they were friends of ours. The folks at Mother Emanuel Sophia Institute had held things there, and Clementi Pinckney, their lead pastor, a friend of ours and mine too. So it hit us so hard. It was another one of those moments where, you know, the distress, the concern just opened our hearts to a whole new level, cracked them open again. So out of that was born the Social Justice Racial Equity Collaborative. And we knew immediately it needed to be advised and advanced by a council of people across diverse lines, across, again, diversity across race, across gender, and across generation. We've been at work together now for over 4 years, working in the arena of truth, racial healing, and transformation. We've been holding a series of forums, 12 of them so far, called Living Your Truth, where we are in duet dialogue, a person of color with a Caucasian person, both of whom are on the front lines for addressing structural racism and addressing racial equity. with us. And we have taken an apology resolution to our mayor, who immediately agreed that the time in Charleston was now, actually 2 years ago, to actualize a call. An apology resolution for slavery. There are only 9 other either cities, states, or entities within our country that have done such a thing. Anyway, we worked together for 10 months. We wrote it, we researched it, we wrote it, we took it back to him, and then the committee of council members, city council members, worked with us. And finally, we were ready to take it to city council, where it passed. It was one of those landmark moments in Charleston, and we are ever so grateful to move the needle a little bit further forward. We made sure that disparities that were coming out of disparity reports were gathered into that apology resolution. Our next phase goes now with trainings around the community, which will be led by Dr. Gail Christopher, who was the lead architect for the W.H. Kellogg Foundation's work for communities across America for truth, racial healing, and transformation. We're honored and privileged to have her be our lead consultant for this work with her team. We would have begun on March 13th, but we were all beginning to shelter in place just that very week. So what we did instead was agree to find the right time this year in 2020 when we can bring this work forward to our communities. So there's a lot to say about this, but that's it in brief. Higher Ground, Rising to Meet Our Environmental Challenge is the other initiative. When you live on the edge of the sea at 0 to 20 feet sea level, we're right in the middle of this. We're on the frontier of what needs to be done for our environment. Much is being done to mitigate or actually adapt the flooding situations that we face here. But our focus for our work, for Higher Ground's work, will be on reducing the carbon footprint. And as we've all seen the images of New York with blue skies and Delhi, India with blue skies and other such places, we know that Mother Earth is regenerative, maybe even more quickly than we thought. At least we hope that's the sign that we're getting. Clearly, it's a sign that we must now address the environment and reduce the carbon footprint. So we're about that with our other initiative. So I've told you these things. Now let's hear from Jean Houston, one of the great visionaries and evocateurs of our time, my longtime mentor. I celebrated her birthday with her and a group of others on Zoom on Sunday. Jean Houston.
I've been associated with the Sophia Institute for these many years. And I've worked in 109 countries over many, many years. And I would have to say that the Sophia Institute is at the center of an enormous, I won't say revolution, it's better than that. It's an evolution. It is bringing women to the center of their own creativity because it looks at 4 things. Health, well-being, the expansion of the sensory system in which you begin to really pick up not just the news of your world, but the news from the universe. What is trying to come through to say, these are the times and we are the people and we are the women who really profoundly make the difference. And then psychologically, the fact is that we are not encapsulated bags of skin dragging around a very little ego. We are organism environments, and we know that we not only live in the universe actually lives in us. This gives us the profound, exciting, evocative mother mind, the mother mind, to begin to evoke new ways of being in a world in which the old forms are disintegrating and new forms are in that generative phase of about to emerge. And I really believe that the women are the key to this new emergence. And so we have to use the many, many selves that we have within us. We're not isolated in oneself. We have many selves, many ways of being, many ways of communicating with each other. And then the third is that we are living in mythic times. I like to say we are mything links. We're living a much larger story than anyone has ever known. And we are responsible for that story. So know yourself as being very central to this emergent new way of seeing, doing, being. This is the time of the reinvention. And in the circles that you attend, support circles, circles that empower each other in the new heroine's journey. And then, of course, there is the spiritual level. And the spiritual level in our time has taken on an enormous importance, because I really profoundly believe that it is in ourselves, in relationship to spirit, and especially to the divine feminine, that we are quickened, we become alive, not only to who and what we really are, but also the larger agenda of our life, what we can be, what we can do, and where we must go. So these four, which have been remarkably activated at the Sophia Institute, the sensory physical movement toward a higher degree of well-being in the body-mind system, the psychological realm, which gives us so many new attributes in terms of the immensity of our psyche, the mythical level in which we are the progenitors, the co-creators, and the carrying out of a brand new story, a story that works for this earth and time, and ultimately the spiritual level, in which we are in co-creative partnership with the divine. This gives us our ideas, our energy, our love, and the fact that these are the times and we are the people. Thank you, my friends.
Jean Houston is mythic herself, and as an evocateur, takes us into this mythic realm and mythic possibilities for our time, for the ways that we might live and be and make a difference now. Thank you so much, Jean. We always love and appreciate you. So as we begin to wind down a little bit, let me say, pivoting has many aspects, as we've been talking throughout all of this. Pivoting our work, yes, to work that has social impact, that's good for all people and good for the planet. Pivoting new ways of living and being now. Advancing a heart-centered awareness, advancing our consciousness, because all of this, as Jean has just said, is so needed now. And the mother matrix, the mother mind available, as she said, to each one of us. So we are cultivating the potential for humanity to make a pivot, one that will benefit our children, our grandchildren, and future generations. I know you all care about that, as we do. So in conclusion, let me say that we're poised now to address these unprecedented times, to make the changes that are needed now, and to provide learning opportunities that expand human consciousness, that open our hearts to new possibilities. This we do in collaboration. This we do together. And this we do with a phenomenal people. Sophia Institute has a good fortune to be able to bring to Sophia Institute, either in person or virtually. Thanks to you, this luncheon we've been doing for 15 years. We began Sophia Institute. I founded it in 2001. And for a few years, because of all that was going on in 9/11 those days, we didn't begin the nonprofit until 2004. So soon we started with this luncheon that Lynn Twist actually recommended to us. So I want to say that every year, what you have done has made such a difference for us. With your support, we can fund our pivot to virtual work, the webinars and virtual retreats, and the infrastructure that requires staff with this sort of expertise that can focus on this new work we want to bring to you. 2, when we can again safely offer in-person work, we'll do so. Yet, we anticipate that the need to continue virtual work will be there, including to live stream in-person work to our growing virtual community. Continue to bring to Sophia Institute the extraordinary leading-edge thinkers and spiritual teachers who are now on our faculty, And you've met 4 of them today. So you can see, and some of you know firsthand, the quality of the work that we bring. This is our core work that we continue to be very much committed to provide scholarships for those who don't have the means to pay for tuition. That's important to us too. To support program expansion for the 2 initiatives I told you about: Social Justice, Racial Equity Collaborative, and Higher Ground, Rising to Meet Our Environmental Crisis. We've been managing both with volunteers only, and Sophia's staff has been volunteers for these initiatives as well. But it's time now to have a dedicated director, a staff person to direct it. And then finally, something that's been on our back burner that we, in the last years, a little more than a year, been beta testing, and that's Sophia Circles. And all the virtual work we're doing makes me think that this is now the time to convene our Sophia Circles. We've noticed by looking into our database that we have over 257 cities from which people are coming to us around this country, and from Canada and 13 other countries around the world, and to connect those people within their cities and if countries within those cities within the countries, so that they can meet one another when it's safe to do so and work in circles with us in Charleston as the sort of mothership of all of this. So there's a lot that we've already planned, and with your support, it will be time for us to launch this. This is really our time, our opportunity, our great privilege to do our part to usher in transformative change. The change the world needs now, a more socially just, environmentally sustainable, conscious human presence on the planet. We invite you to join us over and over again, and to be with us and support this work in any way that you can. Thank you. Now back to Sandy Morkel, who has a few more things to say to us.
Oh, thank you, Carolyn. And thank you so much to those insightful thought leaders who really, their remarks are and their insight are just brilliant and needed at this time. It's amazing the collective vision that is helping to guide us all to find our paths. And really this new just society that Marianne Williamson talked about. Imagine, as she said, a new world on the other side, reconstructed with the best of humankind. Wow, isn't that cool? So now I want to thank those of you who have been a part of supporting the important work of the Sophia Institute. It has been an amazing and inspirational guidepost for us through this transition over the past 2 decades, if you can imagine. I hope today's time together, and I hope hearing these incredible speakers reinforces that feeling and gives you the inspiration to recommit to the Sophia Institute, or for those who are joining us for the first time, to actually commit to this incredible institution that is so important in our world today. I want to look at the 21st century, as Lynn Twist said, as the Sophia century. Imagine a committed, enlightened world with compassion, a global community. These are all the things that the Sophia Institute stands for. As you probably know, Sophia Institute is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. So any gifts are of course tax deductible, and but we are also a social profit organization. Our work is making an amazing impact with incredible return on this investment. With tuition covering just 45% of the operating costs, it is important that we continue to invest in this important resource that we have here, especially as we pivot to be able to provide online programming and requiring new investments in infrastructure to allow that to happen seamlessly. The luncheon is the time every year that we come together to support and recommit to the organization that we so love, the Sophia Institute. This is the way that we can even support, sustain, and even broaden this important work as we collectively can do. we're now poised to take our own leap. This bringing our work to scale, being able to collectively come together to support this, critical resource that we have. So at this point, I would normally, as you would all be gathering in one room, I would normally pass out or have your table host pass out pledge cards for you to fill out. But now we're doing it virtually. So all you have to do is go online to thesophiainstitute.org/donate. There will be a page there. You just click on donate. You can commit a gift of any size. There are several uh, levels of support that you can do, and you can give it in two ways. You can give it as a one-time donation, or even better, you can actually commit to a monthly giving amount. And there's a button down there that says, make my donation recurring monthly gift. And it's so simple to do, and it drafts out of your credit card or whatever financial vehicle you choose. That is the greatest way to do that, because it provides support year round to the organization. You can, of course, cancel it at any time, but that commitment is what is needed to be able to make, to continue our support for this important institution. So I want to encourage you to really dig deep, to really think about what you can do with your gifts. I know some people have been impacted through the COVID-19 related economic fallout, but there's others who haven't, and we want to encourage all of you to think about what level, again, any size gift that can support this important work. I'm excited that one of our favorite people in Charleston is here joining us today to send a special message. This is our very own Charleston Mayor, John Tecklenburg. Please help me join him.
Thanks for inviting us to the no-show lunch, this crazy Corona time that we're living in. I just thought I would share something with you that the world needs now. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just too little of. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. No, not just for some, but for everyone. Lord, we don't need another mountain. There are mountains and hillsides enough to climb. There are oceans and rivers enough to cross, enough to last till the end of time. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just too little of. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. No, not just for some, but for everyone. Lord, we don't need another virus. There is distance and disease enough to cope. There's infection and sickness enough to cure. Listen, Lord, in you we hope. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just too little of. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. No, not just for some, but for everyone.
Thank you, Mayor Tecklenburg. He always has just the right words to say and sing. And we're so grateful for his support, longtime support of the Sophia Institute. So I want to encourage you to make your donation to the Sophia Institute by going to thesophiainstitute.org/donate and give what you can. You can even do it from your phone. And I also want to remind you to take a picture and post it on Facebook or social media of your choice with the hashtag #TheSophiaInstitute. That's one way that we can share the love and remember our special time here together. So I am so delighted to have served as the MC today, and I thank Carolyn for inviting me back. I think I've served now for, this might be the 5th year in a row. So that's amazing out of the 15 years that it's been held. But I turn it over to Carolyn Rivers now for our closing remarks.
Thank you so much, Sandy. It's always a real pleasure and joy to work with you. Thank you all for being here with us from all over Charleston and other parts of the country for this extraordinary time. There are many people to thank. I want to ask John to put up our whole list of those we wish to thank, so you'll see them by name. Thanks to Mayor Tecklenburg for the wonderful job that he did. And I didn't ask him to do a particular song. And when I received this from his associate, the tears were streaming down my face. He knows it so well. It was so perfect. The world needs now is love. Thank you. And then the Charleston Symphony and this gorgeous, soulful, heartfelt piece. Gabriel's oboe from Marconi, performed so beautifully from the Charleston Symphony Quartet, whose names you'll see now on the screen, Carrie and Yuri and Mecca and Damien, and arranged by our board member, Ellen Dressler-Marl. To Sophia Institute's amazing board, who are always working tirelessly to help us do our work, and to Erin Harrington, a big shout out because she was our chair for this luncheon. To Sandy, our MC, to Ann Brasco, our executive administrator, who's balancing not only all of her work for Sophia Institute, but a family and homeschooling unexpectedly through these extraordinary times. To our intern, Phoebe Krause, to John Leland, whom Lynn Twist introduced to us. Thank you, Lynn Twist, and thank you, John, for being our virtual event producer. So stay with one another on the chat. We will be reading your chat messages. We want to know what you think about this. This is the first time we've ever attempted something like a virtual no-show lunch. We love looking at what you're sending out on Facebook and seeing what your tables look like and what recipes you used and all of it. So let's stay connected. Remember to join us if you would like for Mark Nepo this weekend, and later the first weekend in June for Jean Shinoda Boland and other things that we are planning for you. You're wonderful. We love you. Take good care of yourselves. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Bye now.